Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm Kagekaze, and I'm taking a look at Thomas Was Alone as part of Humble Indie Bundle number 8, which you can get at humblebundle.com. And this is going to be a completely blind look at the game, mainly because I already know kind of how this game plays out, and I want to experience this and really take a look at it just from a completely fresh perspective and kind of get to take a look at it, analyze it, and to just experience it. And I kind of want to bring you along for the journey as I'm seeing this game overall for the first time. This is a puzzle platforming game in the 2D style, but it's done in a minimalistic style. So your characters are blocks. And so you might think, well, where's the fun in that? I mean, sounds pretty basic, almost kind of lazy. No, it's not. It's basically you're distilling the game to its raw essence of you have a character, it doesn't matter if he's a person or a block, and he has to move through the terrain to get to his goal. And instead of spending it on the pretty graphics and all that, although from what I've seen the game can look quite pretty at times, it's all about how you get there. And it's all about the storytelling in this game. You're going to see these blocks as almost human. So this game is kind of an experiment almost in what it is to drive a game forward and to give you that narrative. And I just want to take a look at this with you and hope you don't mind that I'm doing it this way. And words kind of escape me in exactly on how this game impresses me. From the footage I've seen of it from other sources. So let's just go ahead and start our new game.
Thomas was alone. Wow. A weird first thought to have.
And there you go. That is all about narrative. I'm Thomas. I'm a block. I'm alone. But as you can see from the startup thing, Thomas is an AI. So here I am, a lone block, and this is it. I move around, I jump, and there is a little bit of animation. When I jump, you can see that there's kind of a little movement in the character as he goes around. And even though it's all about blocks, that you can already see that there's shadowing and some movement in the background, and it's already looking pretty nice, even though it's about squares.
Thomas decided to start listing his observations for posterity. 1. The whole alone thing. 2. Portals. They led somewhere. He'd yet to work out where. 3. Falling. Thomas was absolutely fantastic at falling. He was almost as good at falling as he was at observing. Okay, interesting. Thomas couldn't fall past this block. Think, damn it, think. What if there was some kind of inverted fall? Some way to... what's the word? Jump.
I just have to admit, I find that humorous. I love the way they portray that. It's like a character discovering himself. He's an AI being spawned in the world for the first time, and I like how it's referred to as an inverted fall.
It worked! Thomas had solved the great inverted fall mystery. A big jump. But Thomas noted there was no real danger in missing it. The world didn't want him to fail here. It was pushing him, but gently. This all seemed a little dangerous. The world was not to be trusted. It was unstable, and it seemed to Thomas that it could let him down at any moment. He was starting to suspect it might even be doing so on purpose. Paranoia.
I was not expecting those to fall. I want to see what happens when you do fail. Ah, okay, so it just starts us right over again.
This all seemed a little dangerous. The world was not to be trusted. It was unstable, and it seemed to Thomas that it could let him down at any moment. He was starting to suspect. Thomas wondered whether the portals were actually taking him anywhere. He felt like he was making progress, but there wasn't really any way to know. He seemed to be moving predominantly up and to the right, which might or might not be important. It might have been paranoia again, but Thomas could have sworn the world was becoming more complicated. It always seemed to be one step ahead of his skills. It had been designed just for him. He wondered why. Was the world testing him? No, too obvious.
And that right there is another part of the narrative. There's a couple things of the narrative so far that I'm enjoying. Is one, the sense of humor. In a game like this that seems kind of simple, being pretty much just a platformer, just a simple 2D platformer really at this point, it drives you forward with the narrative in the sense of humor. And I also like that it's taking almost a jab at itself. It's basically taking a look at puzzle games in general, or platforming games in general, and saying, you know, hey, the world is simple at first. Hey, here's a long jump. You're not going to fail at this. If you do fail, you can just pick yourself up again and do it again. And then it's the world teaches you, and that's how game design in general works. And so what they're doing is, in this case, they're teaching the AI what he can do, and yet they're also teaching you as a player what you can do. It's a very interesting meta concept.
Something about the boiling, toxic, glowing water intimidated Thomas. He didn't like it. He certainly didn't want to swim in it. He made another mental note. 4. Water. Not good. To be avoided. The loneliness was getting to Thomas. No amount of observation or obsessive note-taking could combat that.
So, and here it begins. From the narration, you start to get a feel for this block. You start to get kind of an emotional attachment, if you will, to the character, to the block himself. I mean, even though all he is a group of pixels at this point.
Thomas had a new theory. The world was training him. He could feel himself getting smarter. There was the mental list to consider. Over the minutes and seconds since his spontaneous generation, he'd become a pretty skilled jumper. He was evolving. He just wished he had someone to share it with. Chris took an immediate and deep dislike to the skinny red rectangle. Who the hell did this Thomas think he was?
And now we get a new character. So Thomas is not truly alone. But that's how it starts. And now we learn of another character. And of course, he's going to have his own narration and own style and personality. And as we can see here, I can switch between characters with a simple button press. Let's see, QE. Q and E don't seem to do it, but now I have Chris, who doesn't jump as high as Thomas. So now I have to use Thomas to help him get over.
Chris had been doing fine. He wasn't the highest jumper, but he'd held his own. He'd even been graceful at times. Well, not actually. Not technically graceful. It's probably the wrong word, but, you know, fine. There was that skinny little runt leaping about like he owned the place.
Okay, so we can swap over now. We get Chris over to the other side. We'll swap back to Thomas, and we're done here.
Okay, this was more like it. A glowy white thing. Only Chris could get to it, which of course made it all the more enticing. What would it do? What new opportunity might this switch open up to him?
So here we have a little back and forth between our characters as we climb up the wall here. And of course I'm constantly having to move Thomas up in order to help Chris. As we can see, I can even carry Thomas a bit. I can't jump with Thomas on my head. But this kind of invokes a vibe of...
Grace. Another chance for Thomas to jump slightly higher than Chris. How fortunate. Seriously, this made the whole switch pressing thing entirely worthwhile.
This invokes a memory of the Lost Vikings, honestly. A game where you had 3 characters that you swapped between, and you solved puzzles by using those characters in the right spots, and you might have one character lift another character to another spot that only he could reach, and each character was very useful for very specific things, and that's what this game appears to do. And I know down the line you're going to have more. You're going to have a long, flat character that can basically build bridges and things like that, each character with a unique skill. And so it's not a new concept, but I love the way it's being told. I love the look of it, the feel of it, the characters.
Was this good? Because on the surface, it did not seem good. Chris was pretty scared. Little Red seemed fine, happy to be on his merry little adventure. Chris couldn't shake the feeling that things had taken a significant turn for the worse since Thomas had joined him. Sure, he'd been able to piggyback his way to ever so slightly higher platforms, but where had that got him? Well, to ever so slightly higher platforms, which was sort of his point.
Okay, so it looks like the right side will be solved by Chris, and the left by Thomas. Begin the world teaching you.
Chris stared at Thomas with pure hatred. He seemed so very happy at their situation. Friends together, a brave fellowship of quadrilaterals on a quest for greatness. That would be fine. But it was all the obvious observation that Thomas was doing which grated. Every time they saw something vaguely new, Chris would hear a satisfied little from the vaulting idiot. He hoped the next portal would split them up, if only for a few levels.
There we go, right across. I'm not sure I want to jump down there right away, though. Let's see what happens up here first. Oh, does it come closer? No. I should be able to make that, I think. Excellent. Excellent. Oop, that was close. Go! Go, little Thomas! You are an expert jumper. Alright, so that gets Thomas across, but... what of our little other friend here? Can he just go? Ah, he can.
John knew. He knew that this was his chance. A moment to shine. This was game day.
So now we have yet another one to enter, slightly taller than Thomas, and a better jumper, actually. So we now have their trio of Lost Vikings. Just moving them ever so slightly, and we're good!
This would not do. John needed room to show off his exceptional skills. As it was, he was trapped on the wrong side of these little dot things.
Little dot things, I like that.
Where did they come from, anyway? John inhaled the air of the open space, and it smelled of awesome.
I like John.
Time to flex those muscles, to put his training to use. Time to show those little dots how it was done. John decided to press the switch, to let the little dots catch up with him. John cared for his new allies. You could tell from the sympathetic expression he practiced in the mirror all these years.
Wait, he practiced the sympathetic expression? I have to say, aside from the narrative, another thing that's actually nice about this game that I really like is I like the soundtrack, quite honestly. It's got a nice vibe to it. So moving on, probably won't go too far beyond this of the second chapter here. I don't want to spoil too much of the game, obviously, as this game is definitely one of those games that I just really feel it needs to be experienced. And since half the game is really seeing these characters deal with their surroundings and learning about who the characters are, if I were to spoil too much, it would just kind of ruin the entire concept, I would think. So I want to at least show off enough to say, hey, here, this is this game, and this is really cool, and I think you should get it. And again, another big part of this is just kind of to show the journey here and how amusing this is, and seeing it for really the first time. I hadn't seen a lot of this footage. I only got so far, I think, where John was introduced, and I hadn't seen much beyond that. And then I saw a little bit of some other characters, which, you know, I didn't make sense to me in context, because, yeah, it was a bit further than this. Approaching the end of Chapter 1. I see. John cannot make it by himself, so we will have to boost him. Can Thomas do it alone? Can Thomas help John? No, it's not enough. The little friend here will have to get involved. Let's swap around. Thank you, Chris.
John was happy to keep helping. He felt it was important to his image that he was seen to help the little guys.
I think I have to get them past this jump here. Hold on. Chris can't do it alone. He needs Thomas. So let's get Thomas here. Bounce, bounce. Oh, not enough, huh? Alright, let's do this. Let's move them over a little bit. Move Chris, or John right about here. Thomas here. Chris up here. Move him to the side just a bit. Alright, I think that should do it. So if I get Thomas here. Excellent, there we go. That's what we need to do. Just gotta help each other out, man. That's how it works. Yeah, definitely Lost Vikings vibe with this one. Especially now that I've got 3 characters. I mean, granted, there's no Eric the Swift or Olaf the Stout, but having to move around different shapes of different sizes certainly works. There we go. Just a lot of back and forth here between these 3. Poor Chris constantly need to rely on Thomas. Well, let's see what adventures lie ahead for our little blocky friends.
He didn't mind them so much either. The red one, Thomas, had a charming way of applauding every time John jumped. The angry orange one was less immediately likeable, but his unremitting cynicism and tutting amused John.
Well, it looks like I might need more of John, so let's bring him back down. Oh yeah, this one is going to take a bit of time, isn't it? Oh, of course. I messed that one up. There we go. Come on, Thomas. Move John here. Get everybody up and turn. Well, looks like a little bit of moving around is required again. There we go. Thomas. Chris. Thomas. Chris. Thomas. Yes, they're teaching. Constant repetition. Okay, I think... Oh, can't quite make it. Let's get Thomas up there, get John right here. Can Chris make that? Okay, he can. He won't be able to there. Alright. Let's do this. Move them around just a bit. There we go. Nothing like a little bit of teamwork.
This was interesting. A floating target. This would require coordination, balance, and timing. John was sure the dots would be lost, but he was happy to guide them to triumph.
Of course. John is happy to guide them. Why am I not surprised? Okay, so it looks like Chris will have to go down below. Okay, that's fine. Jump, 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 and down he goes.
That's what the dots were for. They were there to extend John's reach, to make his performance even more impressive. John liked the thought. He decided to keep them.
The world is all about John, isn't it?
So, this was how Claire would die. She knew it would happen eventually. She was rubbish at jumping, and she moved slowly. She felt a little like her continued existence was breaking some kind of natural order. The crumbling pillar was a dramatic death, she supposed. Wait, what? Claire couldn't shake the feeling that she was not, in fact, dead. It was at that moment that Claire realised she had superpowers!
Wow. Is that John?
She'd need a cape. There was no getting around that. You couldn't be a superhero without a cape. Claire didn't want confusion. If you saw a cape, that made matters clear. You knew what you were dealing with. Claire was all about communication. And, you know, floating in water, which was her superpower. All right. Fear not, my skinny friends, for I am Claire, and I will save you. Claire needed to come up with a superhero name as soon as possible. Claire was rubbish.
I am very much amused by this. The addition of Claire just makes everything all the more awesome. And there will be more. There will be all sorts of different configurations. I'm not going to go too much farther than this. I wanted to at least get a bit further with Claire. So we can see now we have some blocks that have other attributes other than just size and shape. We have one that can float. And it is very much amusing. And I love it. I really do. So that's Thomas Was Alone. And it is brilliant. I had been wanting to try this game for some time, and I just never got the chance to sit down and do it. And now I'm very glad that I could get it as part of this bundle, and also make sure that part of that went to charity. So, yeah, this is. I can't honestly don't think I could eloquently put this into enough words to say my satisfaction with this, and how happy I am to be able to experience this, because it's again, you've got the beautiful music, which sets a wonderful mood. You've got the personalities of the characters, which are the personalities of the character are simply given to you through a narrator. Of course, you get slight variations on the narrator's tone and inclination, but it's mostly about the narration when it comes to these characters and how you feel about them, not so much the characters portraying themselves.
Claire arrived just in time, which was, of course, the perfect moment for superheroes to arrive.
This is interesting. I wonder if I don't hit that. Oh, I can't jump. Oh, poor Thomas. Poor Thomas. And I have to say, for a game that's based around blocks, it is still a very... It's a beautiful game, really. I mean, the subtle shading, you've got here what looks to be like a raining background. It doesn't need massive graphical fidelity, but it still looks really good.
As the water began to rise, Claire vowed to save this little rectangle in as many restarts as it took.
And there we're doing fourth wall breaking when it comes to restarts, are we?
Claire wondered if Thomas would make a good sidekick. Or was she more the lone Avenger type? She'd like that. The sole hero in a world of rectangles and conveniently placed pools of toxic water.
Alright, I will definitely end it with that. That is... I love the sense of humor in this game. So, bravo, my hat's off to you. A game by Mike Bittel. And I apologize if I said that wrong, because I know I say things wrong a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Kagekaze, and once again, this is Thomas Was Alone as part of the Humble Indie Bundle number 8. You can go to humblebundle.com to go ahead and purchase the bundle. You're getting about 11 games from this bundle for about $5.77 is the current price as of this recording, and they're all looking really good. And individually, they're not expensive, so if you've missed the bundle, you have plenty of opportunities to check them out. Thank you once again for watching, and I will see you next time.